All right. Welcome to Horror the Worlds, where we talk about stuff that has influenced horror movies and the world around it. I'm Curtis Gerhardt.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
There's no radio at all. Not even with the bombing plane that's coming over. All radio is dead.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
All right. So usually, you got to think horror movies are put out there that are dreamt up or thought of like everyday lifestyles that are over exaggerated or just, things that made up in life to help kind of scare us and all this stuff. Like just things that we have to deal with everyday lives.
So what's more terrifying than something that actually exists, right?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, well, at the end of the day, do you want to do, like, after a long week of work and stuff, pretend we have a family, you have a family, I have a family, whatever. What do you want to do for, like, vacation?
Fucking, we're going to travel somewhere exotic, get some swimming done.
No,
maybe go somewhere nice and secluded, somewhere near a river.
See, you're wrong. It's Nintendo.
Oh, Nintendo!
You got to play Nintendo. That's all it is. Just fuck everything else. Play Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers, all that good fun shit.
Yeah.
Let's get fucking canceled for that shit. No, all right. So back in the day, they didn't have Nintendo.
Right.
You got to think a lot of times like their ideas of going like vacation is seeing national monuments, Mount Rushmore, or just go out camping, Disneyland or whatever. But what's to fear about Disneyland? Winnie the Pooh's not scary. Peter Pan's not scary. Not that they're making movies of those things anymore. But nature. Nature's pretty fucking terrifying.
Fuck that thing.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Nature Run Amok movies have made such a big influence and have started off and honestly has probably ruined movies. All movies, period. Not just horror movies, but movies and some of the world as well.
Yeah, just when you thought you could be comfortable, nature fucks you over.
Pretty much. But you know what? You go camping, fishing, go on beaches, lakes. Just go out, have fun. People up here in Washington like to go by the creek, go by the river, and all that shit.
Yeah.
I always think of like Chris Farley. But no, I honestly like when I kind of think of some of like my camping was so huge back then. I want to say because I remember hearing my parents about it. We did traveling until I was pretty much born,
right?
Because another mouth to feed. But even some of my old TV shows, like The Munsters, I fucking love The Munsters. And one of my favorite episodes was when they went out camping and Grandpa turned into a wolf and forgot how to turn back into it. But that's the thing, like all these TV shows were making fun, like not making fun of it, but they had a camping episode.
Yeah.
I Dream of Jeannie had one, Bewitched had one. I want to say Addams Family had one. It's nature was our escape.
Yeah.
And it goes into The Birds from Alfred Hitchcock that came out in 1963. I haven't read the book because I guess this was based off of a book. A lot of Hitchcock's movies were books.
Yeah, he was the first one to do a book in an artsy manner, it felt like.
Mm-hmm. What do you remember of, I guess, hold on, let me try to read a quick synopsis of what The Birds is. So Melanie Daniels meets Mitch Brenner in a San Francisco pet store and decides to follow him home. She brings with her the gift of 2 lovebirds, and they strike up a romance. One day, birds start attacking children at Mitch's sister's party. A huge assault starts on the town by attacking birds.
So when I watch this, I think it's hilarious that anybody could be afraid of birds. I mean, the only bird that I thought to be terrifying would actually be like in Australia, the kookaburras. When you drive by, they have bikers or like bicyclists that have to wear helmets thick enough because these motherfuckers will concuss you if they catch you off guard. Like they come at your head.
There's that one other bird too. I wish I could remember the name of it. Like you always see it like on Instagram or Twitter where it just like clucks its beak and it just sounds like fucking like a machine gun going off.
Yeah.
But
sounds like a prehistoric beast.
Yeah. Seagulls are fucking vicious though.
Seagulls and geese.
I dislike seagulls a lot because I used to like feed like crows and all this stuff like on some of my lunch breaks, and crows are pretty nice. They accept the food. They're not really mean towards one another. But seagulls would just come in and fuck every bird up and even each other.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are rude assholes.
Sure.
Which, honestly, a lot of this movie is seagulls and crows and stuff.
Crows are smart. Ravens and crows are fucking smart.
I know they're part of the same. I know they are different birds, but they are part of the same family. I want to say.
Yeah. There's subtle differences. I mean, size is one of the biggest things about them. One has a pointed beak. One has a
More
curved bill.
curved beak.
One says caw. One says gronk. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, no, the movie really is like phenomenal for being coming out in '63. Like it doesn't really stop. It's kind of scary. Like one of the kind of awesome things about this movie is because it's a little over an hour long. I think it's like an hour 30, hour 20. Oh no, it's actually a 2-hour movie. Sorry, just looking that up. It's a 2-hour movie. It does not feel like a 2-hour movie, to be honest, because it is. It picks up, it drops, picks up and drops. It's by the most part like a nonstop movie.
Some of my favorite movies or my favorite costumes are mocking this movie. They'll have a lady wearing a hat and she'll have her wires with the birds on it, and it looks like she's getting chased around the party.
I'm pretty sure like
really.
I think I was just more like enthralled in the movie and just like I always get so caught up in this movie. It's not like I have a fear of birds to begin with, or like I'm not in love with birds by any means. I think they are beautiful fucking creatures, but I don't think I ever really noticed the strings attached. I know there had been strings attached.
I felt like I saw, but maybe it's something that my brain was like just putting in there. Like, how did they shoot this scene? I feel like that every time I'm watching a movie is how much of this is CGI and how much of it is practical effect. And when you're looking at something as old as the birds,
There's no
it's,
CG.
it's all practical effects. So you're sitting there wondering how the hell was this done?
There were some of the ones with the crows were in the playground stuff. They were there were wooden birds out there and mixed amongst like 200 freaking ravens,
Right.
and stuff. All right, I'm gonna be saying crows and ravens interchangeable because unfortunately
Can't identify.
but no, that was kind of like one of the things is like I guess for like one of the sequel scenes, like this is like ruining the movie. You should have seen this movie by now. It's streaming on Amazon.
It's
at this moment.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, near the end of the movie, he opens up the door and there's fucking seagulls everywhere, on the car, on the ground. Like he's like literally walking through like a flock of seagulls. Not Vice City, flock of seagulls. He did not run, but they did try to get far away, and they could not get away.
He can't escape the bird.
But they ended up feeding a lot of the birds. I want to say like it was like rye and like beer and all that stuff, just so they kind of just were more lazy.
Oh, okay. Made that shot happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you think of I honestly, when I think of movies like this, I don't think of a lot of birds, but when you actually see how many birds there actually are in some of these scenes, like, all right, this is actually kind of frightening. Like I walk out my door and my like stairwell and all that stuff's covered with birds. I'm closing my fucking door and I'm just like, all right, I'm staying in now. I am the bird trapped in this cage. Which honestly, I just put that together. Maybe that's what it was. Because this movie is very notorious for not having a meaning. Like, there's no reason that the birds are attacking humans or any of that stuff. They just start attacking out of nowhere. I have one theory, which I'm going to share here in a minute after this one that I just thought of. But what if it was their way of looking at us in the cage?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I can see that. That sounds like an interpretation Hitchcock would leave with one of his movies.
I wouldn't be surprised because or even in the book, because you have Mitch coming in and trying to out Melanie, and he's trying to get some lovebirds, and all of a sudden all these birds start going crazy and all that stuff. Once when the romance starts to blossom a little bit, but I'm kind of curious if that was a whole like that looking through the glass and actually wait, maybe the birds are just watching us in the. Like in the cage, trapped inside, right. like killing us like we kill them and all that stuff, like entrapment.
Yeah.
I never thought about that until right now. Like that kind of makes a little bit of sense, almost as much sense as this is what I kind of thought of, because like I just brought up on how the birds started getting kind of crazy in the pet store and all that stuff. Like when like their romance started, that interest in their eyes. Birds starting going crazy, all these animals and all that stuff. Next is when she actually takes lovebirds to his house, and she's on her way back to the mainland, and a seagull comes and flies and hits her head.
Yeah.
And stuff. But that's when she actually gets that glimmer and that spark.
Yeah.
When she looks at him, it's like, all right, there's another little peak, and birds start to attack a little bit more, and then things start going way more crazy when they're at the birthday party, and all the kids start getting attacked. This one of the iconic scenes. The iconic scene is like right after that one. But when all the birds start attacking the kids, and the kids are running on the giant treadmill, because that's actually what it was. Supposedly, I think it was like a 20-foot wide treadmill, and Hitchcock just had the kids do laps.
I fucking love it.
Like, he was notorious for saying that the actors are like cattle. You just have to like prod them.
God. Brutal.
But that's the thing. Like Melanie and Mitch, they started having a more of a kinship. They started like having interest in each other and started breaking down each other's walls a little bit. Then these birds started attacking. Like, every time they had a more of a romantic connection, there was a bird attack. Same thing with the mom, because the mom was always didn't want to be alone. So every time she felt like Mitch was getting torn away from her, birds would also attack. So I think this is a movie about women's nature, like their coalescence with birds, like not birds, emotions, and how women's emotions will fuck up the whole entire world. No. No.
That's fucking horrible.
But no, I honestly kind of think, though, it's almost like a representation. I could kind of see it with at least Mitch's moms and Melanie, like their emotions. Every time they get riled up in a loving way or in a heartbroken way, birds start to attack. Once when they actually are more at peace with each other, the movie ends, but the birds stop attacking too. Yeah. So,
well, maybe.
Honestly, I haven't read this before, so I mean, maybe I might be a breakthrough. So, this is documentation of, if you see this shit on Yahoo News or Bloody Disgusting or Fangoria News, I said it first. But no, this was like one of the first movies, like the first like nature run amok movies, like where nature just comes out and fucking attacks us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I do think of birds a lot of this. It's one of the first movies that gave me nightmares as a kid. You know, I mean, learning that crows will end up eating the eyeballs before anything else, which that's nightmare fuel as a child.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
But that's the thing. So you have birds giving you this fuel of fear of like, all right, I go outside my door, I could get attacked. Where else do you go for vacations?
Man, fucking lakes.
Or the beach.
Or the beach.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where this movie is honestly probably a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Jaws
that came
is
out in 1975.
The go-to summertime horror movie.
Oh, yes.
I suggest you watch it, floating on a lake.
I think I said it like in our very first episode. Like, I saw this back in theaters when they redid it in 3D, the original Jaws in 3D. And if they ever do it again, go watch it. Like, it is such an amazing movie in 3D. It's an amazing movie to begin with, but amazing in 3D as well.
The way it was shot was awesome. They put a lot of effort into the animatronics and shooting each scene and making sure it was perfect. I feel like it had a lot of good undertone comedy in even the most tense of moments.
Well, that's the thing. This movie felt real.
Yeah.
Like, extremely plausible. Like, when you think
the first one, at least. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I still think my favorite Jaws is The Revenge, the fourth one. It is the better of the Jaws because it is a slasher movie.
All right, yeah.
Because like, that's
when Jaws becomes the killer.
He becomes a slasher, like
Voorhees
Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. What are their motives? You know, revenge at first before the other kills, but it was always revenge. They came after the family that killed them and all that stuff. What did Bruce's offsprings do? They came back for the family to kill the family.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's. But we're not speaking about the best Jaws movie. We're speaking about Jaws, the best movie. But no, like you were saying, like there are a lot of like comical undertones in it and stuff. If a movie felt very real, like it is a phenomenal movie. Like how it's shot, how it's
the character building throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
I felt like you became a part of the crew the more you watched the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're rooting for the good guys on a rare occasion in this one. Yeah.
Like there are some shots that are oneers, and you don't realize they're a oneer. It's like because you're not taken out from it. Like pretty early in the movie, like when the Brody is on the boat and the mayor comes and all that stuff, and they're on the ship moving around. That's a one shot. Like the shot does not break.
Yeah,
and it's just it draws you in. Like it doesn't take you out of the movie at all.
They don't do that often in movies, like at all. Like it's very rare to see it in a sci-fi movie. In horror movies, you do things in chunks. It seems like
a lot more hidden cuts than nowadays. Like they've gotten way more clever with hidden cuts, but that or they're just trying to do it just for the sake of doing it. Like Scorsese does it. Like in a couple of his movies, where it's just he'll do a winner for no fucking reason at all.
Oh, in Firefly, the TV show and the movie, they actually had to build the whole set for that ship. So when you see them walking through, it is a one shot. They are following around, so they did like a great job at building those sets. But you're right; it's very rarely done. It's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and you're gonna want to keep it around when you do it.
And that's the thing; something gets messed up. What do you have to do?
Yeah, fuck.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, this movie is film. It's not like digital like it is nowadays. Like, all right, well, I can delete. You know, it's like, all right, I just spent that much money on film. I can't go back on it. You know, double exposure and all that stuff.
Right.
But this movie, despite it being a wonderful movie, it is also, well, thanks to Steven Spielberg as well, helped. He had his hand in. This was a PG movie. Like, you gotta think, there was only like 3 different ratings for movies back then: PG, R, and X.
Yeah, you did not have PG-13.
There was no PG-13. But with Steven Spielberg's help, he did kind of create the whole rating, because none of the movies that he did, but he had a working hand in, which was Gremlins, which
was...
we should have all have seen.
Which, by the way, that was originally supposed to be way more gory than it was, but...
Poltergeist.
Yep.
As well.
I was surprised at the rating on that one. I thought that was going to be...
But that's the thing. These are PG movies.
Yeah, that's a PG
This is what
movie.
made PG-13. And Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom.
God, I love that one.
So, like, that's the thing. Like, these are PG movies that shouldn't have been PG.
No.
But
hell no.
This is what made, you know, Karens wanted to create new rating systems because kids couldn't handle this. But look at the kids that
lightweights.
Look at it though. I mean, you have kids. Those kids that were brought up on this, they're kind of awesome people.
Well, yeah,
you know,
sure. I just
look
feel
at us.
like
We're pretty awesome people, and we were brought up on this. Yeah, we're doing a podcast. We're so fucking awesome, so hip. But like in all reality, it's not gentrified or anything. Like, it is just, these movies aren't harsh by any means nowadays. I mean, yes, you have The Walking Dead that is on TV. It's what, rated M for mature. Like, what is?
Yeah, no, it's rated M for mature, but it comes on fairly early in the night. I know that for something like that, you're definitely waiting past 10 p.m. to watch it, and it comes on at like 7 or some shit like that.
Everyone was watching Walking Dead. You
yeah,
had kids watching
kids
it.
were watching that shit. Kids are playing
that is so much
Call
worse
of Duty
than Gremlins.
Zombies. Yeah.
But Gremlins is more scary because I don't know. But yeah, all right, but that's just the thing. Like, so Steven Spielberg kind of helped create like the whole ratings board.
Yeah.
Like unintentionally or intentionally. I'm pretty sure he didn't really mean to. This movie, Jaws, has also ruined like cinema history and the world. This single movie, yes. So I mean, this is one of the movies that like where merch started becoming huge. Like there were board games, like some of the video games, like T-shirts, memorabilia and stuff started exploding. So this is one of the movies that helped kind of start like, oh, we could make money outside of the theater now.
Oh yeah.
Not that it wasn't before, but
is the one that opened up merchandising for movies a little bit harder. All right.
Also kind of helped create. This movie is credited as creating the word blockbuster, having it with synonymous with movies, because I guess blockbuster was more so with a bomb, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's what like blockbuster originally came from, but Jaws took it and made it, you know, a term for movies and an awesome store.
Yeah, the best.
Also had the whole thing with, because Bruce didn't work, the shark's name was Bruce because I want to say it was one of the producers or someone in Universal, like their name was like Bruce, and they hated him, and they named the shark Bruce because it wouldn't work. There's so many awesome tidbits and facts about Jaws. There are books that go about behind the scenes.
A lot of history with it.
Like, it is such a phenomenal movie. But I also had the whole thing like seeing the monster less is scarier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Less is more with especially. It feels like that was the key with earlier movies. For the first half, or sometimes just first 30 minutes of a movie, you're getting slight glimpses. You don't see its entirety. Sometimes it's because it creates an anticipation. Sometimes it's to make sure you don't see the zippers and the seams. Yeah.
Like,
But either way,
some of it's
it
budget,
works.
too,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, budget kind of makes it scarier at times because all right, we can't show it because this is going to show the glue, this is going to show the zipper, so we're going to have to shoot it a different way at a different spot.
Like, everything's perfect with this makeup except for this little part, so only shoot it from the left for 10 seconds.
Yes. I can't remember the name of the movie, but like The Beast with a Million Eyes only had like 32 eyes or something like that. It was only a couple of feet tall. But he created that. There was so many movies that mimicked Jaws.
Yeah.
Like almost damn near plagiarized, but
Yeah, no, I get that. One of the movies that I've seen recently definitely feels like it got its
beat for beat
its
is
feet.
Grizzly,
Yep.
which is a giant 30-foot bear, which everything's 30 fucking feet. It seems like I think Bruce is supposed to be, was it like 30 feet?
Yeah,
like 10 meters or something like that. That Piranha is like a ripoff of it.
Oh yeah.
Like even to the point where Joe Dante, that directed Piranha, and also Roger Corman film as well. Like they said, like yes, this is a Jaws ripoff movie, and like the very first like scene, they have the girl playing Jaws arcade game. So I was like, all right, this is what it is.
Like we're not even
like
gonna,
shut up. Like,
yeah.
that's just
not
that's
gonna
it.
hide it. Piranha made it a little bit more fun. It made it so Jaws felt like it was a well-produced movie, and Piranha was definitely the I wouldn't even call it a cash grab. It just felt like they were trying to bring a little bit more fun to the genre.
That was it, I guess. Like I think Jaws 2 and Piranha came out like at the same time, so there was already like a little bit of a feud with Universal and Corman's film. But that was kind of, it wasn't so much a cash grab. It was, Corman was like the man of making like underwater movies. Like he wasn't doing like shark movie. Like he was doing some shark movies, but sharks weren't scary. Like
right.
they were more so gods. Like the beliefs and all that stuff, and they were just like
that sounds
underwater
very
monsters,
familiar.
like more creature from the Black Lagoon kind of monsters. But then Jaws came around. Like, oh, this is a Corman film, but done better with more money. And Corman was like, correct. Like he's completely right. Let's make Piranha
Well,
for the most part.
all right, yeah.
But yeah, you even have other ripoffs like Tentacles. I don't think that's a movie that everyone should watch too. Like it's another like an octopus kraken type of movie where like one of the deaths, like Steven Spielberg kills a kid in Jaws. Tentacles kills a baby in a stroller.
Holy shit! All right.
Like but you also have Alligator too that came out like in 84 or something like that as well, which is, you're not safe in water or land, the whole sewer. So honestly, Jaws is kind of like the one that started like nature run amok.
Yeah. All right. And we had something to hit like at least every 5 years since then.
Yeah.
As far as keeping the whole Jaws canter alive.
Which I feel like Jaws, that's I'll talk about that here in a second, but Jaws, I think, made it huge. It started the whole, made everyone love sharks.
In a different light,
in a way. Like I guess
Shark Week became
movies.
every week on Discovery Channel.
Yeah. And like the next movie I think that came out after that made sharks huge was Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
With Samuel L. Jackson. And
Cool J.
the other, I still need to rewatch that movie. It's been way too long since I've seen it. And the other shark movie that made sharks popular again, and probably almost as popular as Jaws, is...
You're gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it. Is Sharknado.
Goddamn Sharknado. Oh, all right.
Each one of those movies are fucking phenomenal. Like, if you like schlocky movies that are just like, don't go into it expecting Jaws. Go into it expecting nothing.
If you wanna laugh at a movie, this shit is where it's at. It's
definitely don't take it serious.
I watched the whole thing, and this is usually something that I wouldn't have even approached. But watching it for this, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. it was dorky, campy as all hell, and having sharks jump out of a sewer to get your ass. It reminded me. It was like Snakes on a Plane, but with sharks.
Well, I mean, there were
sharks in a sewer.
That's the thing. Like the whole like franchise of Sharknado had so many different cameos. You had like the Dexter, and I can't remember the I think the guitarist from The Offspring.
Oh yeah,
had a cameo. Corey Taylor had a cameo. Like there are so many actors. Like, I think Jerry Springer even had a freaking cameo in one of the movies.
Jerry Springer's always, he was in a lot.
You think of any like almost like superstar, and they more than likely played in Sharknado for like a short second, or just got killed off.
And keep in mind, there's 6 of those fucking films. 6
7 if you want to create
Sharknadoes.
that, or consider that the mockumentary about it.
All right.
As well. But yes, like to me, those are like those 3 shark movies. Like those what make shark movies. Everyone kind of thinks about those. At least I do.
Oh yeah, sure.
Jaws also kind of started the whole exploitation films as well. They actually made sharks scary.
Scary again. I feel like if you're a surfer, they're always that thing that you're thinking about. But
Well, that's the thing. I think it's almost they think of it as getting hit by a car when you're driving.
no, all right.
You know, because they're
see.
out there in the water. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
But
you
more
know?
than likely, it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, because I mean, I want to say there's more attacks, more car accidents. There's more man-on-man crime, more like insect bites, and people going to the hospital for shark bites. Let alone there is far less shark attacks that kill people. Like sharks are more the victim, and that's the thing. That's the unfortunate thing about Jaws is how this actually influenced the world around it. It actually made sharks scary. Sharks weren't really scary before this movie. This is the movie that people actually went out and started killing sharks because they're evil creatures. Like they don't want them harming the beaches. They want to go out in the ocean safely and all that stuff. Like they started killing hundreds of thousands of, like, if not millions of sharks because of this movie. But also the good kind of came out of it was it had more awareness of what sharks actually do, and it helped push us to learn more about sharks and stuff. So I mean, yes, it sucked that they were getting murdered, but you know, a lot of good science, a lot of good stuff actually came out of it, unfortunately, at the end. But yeah, Jaws is what started kind of everything.
Yeah, all right. Well,
that's why you see a lot of blockbuster movies or huge movies getting released in the summer, because Jaws.
Oh yeah, it's
not just horror.
I feel like it's one of those times where you need to find something to fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be in the woods or it's going to be in the water.
Also has a famous tune, that dun dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun. Like everyone knows that one. You know, Jaws is just bigger than life. It's a movie that's never going to go away, that I feel like everyone should see. It can be seen as a slow movie. Compared to nowadays, it's a slow
actually
movie.
making a huge comeback. I feel like a lot of people are watching it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Even with the newer generation, they're watching, oh, you know what, this one isn't that bad. I felt like that when I watched Lake Placid. I feel like Lake Placid was a lot more enjoyable than I originally remembered.
Yes. And that's the thing, like when it comes to Lake Placid, that came out in 1999, directed by Steve Miner.
I'm Steve Miller. That's not
Steven. But yeah, directed by Steve Miner, which he's also done Halloween H2O. He's done Dawson's Creek. He's done Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, and House. But yes, Lake Placid.
Another 30-foot monster that one of the characters, I believe played by Oliver Pratt, sees as a god. And alligators and crocodiles are worshipped as gods in older religions. Worshipped more older. The worshipping of them is older than the standing of Christianity, or at least said to be in this movie.
Right. That's the crazy thing too, is like when it comes to this movie, kind of like almost halfway through it, they start taking they see one of the footprints like in the mud.
Yeah. It's like
that's the thing. Like the gator is supposed to be 30 feet, but like the claw, that handprint is like, that can't be a 30-foot croc, man. That had to be like 70 feet or something like that.
Like 30 feet long, but tall. This son of a bitch was a big boy.
Yeah.
And it only hated cops. I swear to
did,
God.
like, it
It had like a total of 2 kills in them. Both of them were officers of the law.
That's actually the crazy thing too, is like some of the kills are actually pretty freaking solid for
Yeah,
this
no,
movie.
no,
'Cause
it was more than I thought I was gonna see. Even going into this movie, I believe it has an R rating, but when you're looking at it, it still delivers more than you thought. Because when I watched it, I thought it was gonna be a lot of CGI, but it felt like when it came to the kills, showing the kills, they did that real life aspect. They tried to make the body.
That's a good. This is one of the awesome things about this as well is you're talking about like the practical effects of the gator itself. Stan Winston actually created the real life alligator. It actually swam in the like not like
Yes,
fast,
you
but he
got
actually moved in the water. All these underwater scenes, but Stan Winston is the guy that created Alien.
Oh,
not
shit.
created Alien, like that's Dan O'Bannon, but created or helped create the alien
The
creature, and also Jurassic Park.
Oh, sweet. All right. So
he
it
made the
ties into my
crocodile.
childhood pretty hard. All right.
And that's the thing. Like, honestly, when I always thought back about this movie, I always thought of it as a sci-fi movie, not science fiction. But I'm talking about more so sci-fi, the TV channel.
Yeah.
like the whole schlocky.
You
kind
wouldn't
of
catch it
bad.
on Shudder or anything like that. Is not before you caught it on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, at least that's what I always thought of it was. But when I rewatched it recently, I was like, oh, this had to have been like on HBO, and I guess it was. That's where I originally saw it was on HBO as a kid.
Yeah, it has a lot more famous people in it than I remember too. I mean, maybe it's because Bill Pullman at that time, the only thing I had seen him in was
Like Spaceballs or something.
Yeah,
or-
it was Spaceballs. I'm pretty sure that'd be the only thing I had seen at that age with him in it.
It almost feels like everything that we're pulling up
Oh, and
has
Casper.
Bill Pullman in it.
He was
Yeah.
the dad in Casper. So that's what I had known him for. To see him, Bridget Fonda, in this, and can't forget Betty White. Betty White is the gem of this fucking movie.
She has
Absolute
one
gold.
of a line that caught me off guard because I don't remember.
If I had a dick, this is where you'd suck it.
Yeah, this is
I'd
where I
tell
would tell you to suck it. So I was like,
Yeah.
like, all right, Betty White, you got it. You got me.
She got some chops.
But that's the thing. Like, she's not that. I don't think she ever really was that cutesy. Like, she
No,
always played that
she was
badass
the
woman.
she was always the unladylike comedian of her time, and she carried on with that. And she was the
Even in Golden Girls, like she was
the fuck
Rose
you
Nyland
for
from
the most part.
like she was kind of ditzy.
Yeah,
You know, not the smartest, but she was also kind of brutal.
quip. Yeah.
But she kind of. I wish she was in this movie more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like she was in it just enough.
She was
but-
in it enough to like she deserved the credit she got,
Mm-hmm.
and in my opinion, she made the movie. Between her and the eccentric rich man, who was always causing trouble, he was not only the comedic relief, but he was the psychopath you were kind of rooting for.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if you're watching this movie for Betty White, she's not in it for that long. Probably like total screen time, 4 minutes maybe.
yeah, maybe.
So
I'd say 10 minutes max because there's a lot of little shots with her in it, but she's not the foreground of the screen. Or anything
and she's the
like that.
reason the Sing exists too. So
Yeah.
she's that much of a badass. But yeah, this movie is worth watching purely for Betty White.
Oh yeah,
But also, it is a really awesome freaking movie. I
well,
was
it's
hoping it was
better
shot
than
in
Anaconda,
Washington.
in my opinion.
Because when they were showing the lake scenes, I'm like, this kind of feels a little bit like Washington, but I guess it was in Maine or something like that
yeah,
as well. But
yeah, it was at least said to be in Maine.
it's I don't know, I'm stuttering.
It's movies like this. I was always afraid of water when I was a kid, mostly because you can't see what's in it.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you that if you can't see what's in the water, don't fucking hop in. And this is an example on why. This alligator was not supposed to be in the waters it was in, but it was there, and it wasn't going anywhere because it had a free source of food.
Well,
so
I drowned as a kid too for a little bit, so that's why I'm scared of water and leeches. That's why I don't like water I can't see through. Is I not really scared, or I don't really hate a lot of things, but leeches.
all right,
Scare
yeah,
the fuck out of me. Like
kind of weird and creepy.
weird little black vampire fucking.
Now as an adult, I have a slight thalassophobia, but it's because it's the deep open water and how little we actually know of
Not
what's
being
in there.
erect. No, sorry. I heard Placid.
Lake Placid. But this movie didn't fall flat. It was very good. It was well shot, and it was a lot of fun in my opinion. I'd watch it again. This one is actually worth owning, and that I say that knowing that Anaconda is a shit show. I did not like it at all. I watched it.
I'm distracted
I
because I
still
was like,
didn't
this
like
has
it.
to be a parody of Lake Placid or Lake Placid or something like that. I was just like stuck in my head right now. I am so sorry for that one. I don't think there's really a dull moment in this movie at all either. I don't think it's streaming anywhere.
No, I couldn't.
Like,
find
unfortunately,
it anywhere. I had
think
to
it's on
borrow the movie.
Stars or HBO occasionally, but
Yeah, you might catch it on USA or some shit like that. An edited version. Because Betty White's mouth will get the FCC on your ass pretty quick in this movie.
dude,
She was the most raunchy part of it all, really.
There is also another movie that I almost would have rather brought up than this movie, or I just kind of watched this movie because I haven't really heard of it. Is Black Water that came out in 2007, which is another alligator movie that was supposedly better than this one. Like I want to say they
I'd be
they
willing to watch
used
it.
real alligators in it, but they just kind of comped them in, or comped them in and made them a little bit bigger than they actually were. But it was more scary. Like that's actually if you're into like gators, like that kind of one, check out Lake Placid. Lake Placid's a fucking great movie.
It's a good start.
But also Black
Really.
Water should be another good one.
Other two movies, I feel like have something to do with one another. And the first one I'll bring up is Arachnophobia.
All right.
Because it is, first of all, the first spider movie I saw as a kid, and I absolutely loved it. And it stuck with me into adulthood. And when I watch it, I still get the heebie-jeebies watching it. And part of it is because I adore Jeff Daniels. I think he is an awesome person and a great character in every movie he's in. First time I saw him was Dumb and Dumber. So
Yeah.
watching him in this movie was definitely different.
And that's the thing. You kind of don't really realize how hard it is to be like a comedian, like a comedic
Typecasting is
actor,
an easy thing to do in Hollywood.
especially when he did Dumb and Dumber so incredibly well.
So hard. Yeah.
But going from that and then watching him in Arachnophobia that came out in 1990, directed by Frank Marshall, like it was, he's a phenomenal fucking actor because he has arachnophobia. He has a fear of spiders.
Yeah, he was not. I mean, he definitely stated that he didn't have a problem with it, but he also stated that if you don't have a slight issue with spiders, you're a fucking wacko.
Yeah.
I mean, those weren't his exact words, but that's the gist of it.
One of the things I thought was kind of really funny about this movie, like not so much him, but it's all caused from a spiteful spider.
Oh, yeah.
So to kind of set this movie up, since it came out in the 90s, you guys should have fucking watched it by now. Shame on you if you haven't.
Yeah.
I could say that now since I watched it last night.
It's one of my favorites for sure.
But no, like, all right, so you have like one of the photographers that come down in South America and ends up killing a spider. Mm-hmm. And the king spider, the general spider, I think is what they were calling it, if I'm not mistaken, sees him kill the spider and goes after and bites a fucker.
Was this piece of shit?
Dude, I was like, that was like so.
Who
it was
do
just
you
kind of
think you are?
yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, this is pretty freaking funny. Like, all right, you have a vengeful spider that caused all this stuff.
Oh,
It
yeah.
actually had a
and-
brain.
I mean, it wasn't the creepiest looking spider of all of them.
No.
But with spiders, to me, an individual spider is not that creepy. A group of them, on the other hand, burn the motherfucker down. And that seems to be the theme with all spider movies is when in doubt, burn them out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Light it on
I have my
fire.
own personal rule when it comes to spiders. Like, sometimes, yes, I might save them if they're in my house. But if they're in my house, it's my house. I'm honestly gonna kill it. I'm gonna squash it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna, like, I'll go out of my way to actually walk around a spider web if I'm out like hiking or anything else. Like, I will try not to destroy its house.
Right.
You know, it's just like my own like weird moral respect when it comes to like spiders. Like, I don't like them in my house. I'm not trying to go in their house and destroy their house.
Fair enough.
It's not like they freaking care.
Oh, it's not the fact that one
But-
general spider might get revenge on you and your family.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that's why my house is always pop like spiders. But that's like one of the awesome things too. Like, all right, so I'm gonna ruin the first part of the movie. Is so like I already said, you have the general spider going after this one guy to kill him. Hops in that coffin, gets shipped back to America, California, at that, and the spider comes out of the coffin, gets picked up by a crow, fucking birds again.
Goddamn birds.
But Frank Marshall was like also a fan of the birds, which is a great movie we just talked about. But he literally like homages, which I want to say that's what that was. But picked up the spider and dropped it off at the barn. And the spider
Yeah.
killed the bird and stuff. But I mean, That's a great representation of how diseases spread. It's just like from one country, you're not really expecting it getting shipped off, and then just getting carried on from one thing to another thing, and just
surprise, you got a problem.
Yeah, and a problem that freaking you die within what was it like 5 minutes?
It was 5 minutes, and man, the main guys in this. I mean, Jeff Daniels already stated how much I enjoy him, but the other main, or not main, but big name that I remember from this movie the most is John Goodman. And to me, he was always that father figure on TV that you always saw and was rooting for. Yeah, his character in this.
I'm actually kind of curious because I couldn't find it. I want to say his character was like an homage to Bill Murray's from Caddyshack. He has that same kind of that tone, the voice a little bit, the same kind of characteristics. And like if you haven't seen Caddyshack as well, see that one. But it's I want to say it's like the kind of same little homage, like nuances.
Right.
Like John Goodman on it was kind of surprising. I loved how comedic he was. Like he was a comedic relief in this movie.
Yeah, even though it felt like he was a very short-lived screen time, but he was definitely outstanding in the movie to me. So I mean, between that and the spiders, which they used actual spiders. Hold on real quick. They used Avondale spiders, which are popular in New Zealand. And not harmful venomous or harmful. Yeah, they're not harmful at all. But they still treated them with respect and made sure that when you see spiders getting smashed in this shit, they're not actually these spiders getting smashed. They are actually loved creatures, and they looked out for them, spraying with a fake stunt spider and then stomping on it with a hollow boot. So it looked like it got stomped on, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And then potato bags for the squish.
Like there was even like the bathroom scene where you see Jeff Daniels whipping the spiders with the towel and all that stuff. Like you could see that he's not actually hitting the spiders at all.
Yeah.
But if you look past it, I mean, because it makes sense that they actually cared about these spiders.
For me, it's that the basement scene at the end. It's like, I don't know. As a hairy guy, I feel like a beard would be a place for these motherfuckers to nest, and being in a place overpopulated by spiders, it just makes me like...
I'm not jinxing any of that stuff. I love my beard more than anything else, so, I mean... Almost speaking of the basement is, like, the egg sack. Like, because you get to see the egg sack of where these guys come out from. It reminds me of a no-bake cookie. You know, like with the oatmeal, because it kind of looks like the same.
Way it kind of busts up, and you're like, no.
So if you like those no-bake oatmeal cookies, like the peanut butter chocolate ones, those are fucking delicious. Don't watch this movie or eat those while you're watching this movie, because you might ruin your appetite.
Yeah, put that motherfucker down.
But yeah, this movie, like, it is actually really pretty. It's actually another pretty comical one. It is really freaking enjoyable. I felt like
the 90s is where they tried to do that perfect combination of the two, and I've always said that a perfect amount of comedy in a horror movie is going to keep your emotions at bay and then surprise you. That scare makes it 10 times harder when they rip you out of a comfort zone.
I think like the 90s kind of brought back the whole bugs that they did back in the like 50s and 60s and stuff, because there was a lot of movies that they were bug related or nature related, and then they made them bigger in the 90s as well.
Because bugs is the only thing that no matter where you're at, it's a kill on sight thing. Like, I'm not fucking around with any of these bugs. The bigger they get, the more likely they are to get smashed.
I also the general spider, because all these other spiders are drones. Yeah. Like they're more so controlled by the big boss man.
Yeah, Big Bob.
Big Bob. It was more so resembled the what's that? That bird-eating spider?
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. So that was its main influence off of that spider. But also cool little tidbit, because we're a tidbit channel. I mean, tidbits are tidbits, and they're freaking awesome. And if you don't know them, is like, I mean, if you ever watch Mythbusters and you know the guy with the beret and the mustache, Jamie Hyneman actually did the animatronic for the spider for Big Bob, you know, the general. Which I thought was actually really awesome.
I think that's fun. That's pretty cool.
Like, I doubt it had anything to do with like this being them coming from San Francisco down to I can't remember the name of the city that they made up for, and then going back up to San Fran, which Mythbusters is from. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm kind of upset with myself that it took me so long to watch Arachnophobia. I understand why I didn't want to watch it, because it's fucking spiders. Spiders are fucking creepy. This is not many not many movies really get under my skin. This one actually kind of like it got me almost there, where I almost started like. I actually looked under my covers last night, and I don't normally do that.
I still have a habit of knocking out my boots before I put them on, man. I try to make sure there's nothing in there.
Well, I mean, I even heard that like stories like because I want to see you like you were from Texas, and it was kind of common for spiders or tarantulas and scorpions.
Tarantulas, depending on where you live, but you usually like see them motherfuckers coming. They like to be in your cabinets and shit. But scorpions, yeah, depending on what part you're in, you knock out your boots a little bit because everybody keeps their boots in their garage for some ungodly reason, and you knock them bad boys out because it's a covered area, nice and moist.
I don't know why people like Texas so much. Because I know they even have a season where like tarantulas will take over freaking town. They'll cross highways.
migrate, yeah.
And like
They
an
migrate
ocean
in large
of tarantulas. Like,
quantities.
why the fuck do you want to go to a place that has? I'm moving on.
For me, it's just the heat. But yeah, I get it. The next movie, it's almost like an updated version of Arachnophobia.
Oh, we're going that far. Okay.
Infested, and that one, it's
Came
another Spider movie, 2023.
Mm-hmm. Directed by Sebastian Vinnick.
Yeah, that one, that was the name that I had a problem with. He was in. I wouldn't say he has arachnophobia. He has a strong appreciation for spiders.
Yes.
So he sees them as beautiful creatures that people mostly have a fear of because of the way they move. They have 8 legs and they can be fast. You don't know what direction they're going to take off in or how they're going to take off. To be quite honest, if it jumps, it's going to freak me the fuck out. But the scattering thing is also a creep factor.
Right, which I guess they did in Arachnophobia, and this one is they fucking jump at you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some of the things, like with this particular spider, which they modeled this spider after several of them. One of them my favorites. The wolf spider is one of my favorites. But it also had a rare African, a larger spider. I thought they were going to do this after the huntsman spider in particular, but the markings on it, I guess, kind of look like wolf spiders. But the way that they shot this, like if you see these spiders, you don't think much of them. So they had to amplify the freak factor a little bit with the spreading of them being a lot quicker and far more abundant, and the venom factor, the poison, which
is another one that kills you almost instantaneously as well.
Yeah, this isn't something that could be like misrepresented as track marks. This looks like, oh, what's that other one? Triphobia, where you got like the fear of like a cluster of holes and shit. Like it made that kind of effect on your skin and is raised and like pustulous, like little gaping. It's disgusting. But there's so much work that went into this movie that I'm surprised on how beautiful he found these creatures, to be quite honest, because the way he made them scary was almost in the opposite direction.
Like it was scary because it was numbers. The same thing with Arachnophobia and stuff. This
Numbers
movie,
and by the end the size.
That's the thing. Like I think it's the thing that he made it more scarier than Arachnophobia was. Like it wasn't like a direct rip off. Like you could tell that Arachnophobia has to be in like one of his favorite movies.
There was inspiration,
a huge inspiration. But one thing that he did different was he made the spiders bigger, which, sometimes, not for me, but sometimes bigger is scarier, especially when it comes to spiders.
You're hoping it means slow
in
moving.
In movies. I mean, if there's a giant fucking spider that's normally small, even if it's the daddy long leg, I'll still be scared to fucking death of it.
I like the daddy long legs. Those ones don't bother me. But the huntsman spiders, I've seen pictures of people in Australia waking up to these big, like, hand-sized fucking spiders just chilling in the corner. I wouldn't be too happy about that. No. But it had me. This movie had me checking the shoes in the corners of my room. And, I mean, in Washington, we have the tiny little babies. But these motherfuckers they made them big and abundant.
Yeah. And
the whole way that the way this story kicks off is two kids growing up had first one of their parents died. I believe it was the father died, and so it was just them and their mom trying to make things happen. And then eventually, unfortunately, the mother passes as well. So to make ends meet, not only are they doing miscellaneous work to build this apartment, somewhat of a slum.
They're trying to sell it. To get out of that apartment.
Yeah. They're doing that, and he is also selling sneakers under under the table for sure. He's slinging sneakers, collectible sneakers. He's a sneakerhead on the side, and he's also an avid exotic species collector, not just spiders, but scorpions.
Not spiders at all. Like he's more into.
Yeah, he had no spiders. That's what made him pick this one up. It was a rare African breed, and he found it.
I don't think it was African. I think it was.
It looked like it was Middle Eastern when they picked it up. Like they were picking up under rocks.
I think it was like Iran or something like that.
Yeah. Either way, they were finding him in this hot area. Was capturing them, and right from the get-go, you saw how deadly these bad boys were. So he finds it, he takes it home, builds a nice little home temporarily till he can get it set up. But in between then and there, of course, it
escapes.
It escapes and takes harbor in one of his sneakers.
Well, that's
that
like
he
one
sells
thing.
later.
Like you learn. That's how it spreads. Like, but you also learn how deadly and how deadly they are. Early in the movie is when the guy that's actually hunting the spiders out in the desert gets bit, and he starts rolling on the ground, and you see one of his buddies coming over with a machete.
Yep.
And then
it was like there's no treatment for this shit.
No,
like the best thing they can do is shorten your suffering and kill you now.
But there's a reason, I think, as well.
Oh yeah.
Which, with this movie being as new as it is, I don't want to really go into spoily details about this one, because it is currently on Shudder. It is a French movie. It is 2 hours long. It's
2 hours long. That's my only two gripes are I don't like the ending. It to avoid spoiling it, it did not bring me closure. And I believe it's like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, a little too long. The whole time you have action, you are kept up to pace. It just feels like some of those scenes could have been a little
bit more tighter, or just like, because there was like a MMA fighter, ex-boxer guy that his whole story could have been taken out the whole movie.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have harmed the story at all. I don't see taking him out of the movie making the movie any worse, or I don't feel like he helped progress the story at all. But yeah, this movie is creepy. Like, it is scary.
It gave me the heebie-jeebies. I thoroughly enjoyed it because even the director, once again, he had a love for this. When I was watching it, I like to look up facts about some of these movies, and he used over 200 of these spiders to actually shoot every one of these scenes for like 10, 20 seconds max, because they're very delicate and sensitive creatures. So when he got that shot, he'd give it a break and bring out another one to make sure he got this scene put together really well.
Honestly, that was a gripe that some of the, like, I wish I could actually remember the name of. I'll let you look it up here. I like the spider aficionados, like people that are actually interested in spiders, because I know during the Arachnophobia, a lot of people had their gripe when they're in the Amazon and all the spiders actually falling from the tree, because a lot of spiders, or at least those tarantulas and stuff, have like an exoskeleton. So if they fall like any more than like a foot or two, their body pretty much shatters. It breaks. They die. And these spiders are falling like about a good 100 feet out of the trees, and they're still alive. They're still surviving. So I mean, it's people really do realize how delicate spiders really are.
Yeah, they're very, very delicate. But I
think it's just because of how mean of a bite they have is why people like, no, fuck them. I don't give a shit how delicate they are. If they die from my boot, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm fucking done with it. But this guy, he took consideration of that, and he definitely found them to be beautiful creatures, which is why he wanted to do this one in the first place. I felt like he was the perfect person to do it, because not only did he nail a creep factor for me, but he also had the love and sensitivity in order to shoot a movie and make the actors and the even the creatures involved in the movie feel respected. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It felt like he went in this with a level head about it, but still made it fucking creepy.
Like the spider-human relationship. Yeah. But like I want to say this movie is very, very French. Like if you guys watched one of our earlier episodes about the whole French extremism, I almost want to say this would be like a French extremism movie, like almost a modern day, because it is so freaking French, where they even have like the cops against civilians, people just being brutalized, living in slums, and just like how their
Oh
lifestyle
yeah, they did
is,
not
like,
make their living style seem beautiful, like in a typical way that you'd
and
look
it
in that
feels like, with what I've heard, almost like a typical kind of France
area. Yeah,
lifestyle. Like,
yeah. And in fact, the way they were living kind of reminded me of the movie Attack on the Block, which is a UK movie, and it's about a bunch of young adults and adults living in this apartment complex like area, and it's in no way is it lavish or anything like that. It feels like a bunch of people are kind of crammed into a tight space and just trying to make the best of life with their neighbors sitting practically on their laps.
Kind of it. I want to go into like another movie that kind of a lot of people have a fear about is Anaconda, that came out in '97. Notoriously known for being a very bad movie, which I don't understand why. I enjoy this movie.
I can tell you exactly why.
Why?
I fucking hated the animation in it, but that's just me.
The animation wasn't really.
This
movie came out in 1997.
I liked the way that they had an anaconda snap a motherfucker's neck. Like, that was a little fun, but it was some of these scenes, the fast motion and stuff like that. I mean,
so the biggest issue, the only issue I had with the whole animation of it is, was it John Voight? I want to say, John Voight's character near the end of the movie where he gets bitten. You guys should have seen this movie. The snake wins. But the anacondas have fucking fangs. They have not fangs, but they have a bunch of serrated teeth. And the motherfucker gets bit like 3 or 4 times, thrown around. There's no blood,
no marks, none of that.
Like,
I enjoy the bad guy. The guy that, well, first of all, he is. I'm pretty sure this guy is just white playing I don't know what accent he was trying to throw on, but he is always a fucking bad guy in these movies.
What? All right, so this movie is also...
He's a cocky little asshole the whole time.
You're talking about John Voight, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the guy with the accent, we have no idea where he's actually from.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this movie, I don't know, I think it was just so big because when it came out, how old I was, and everyone I knew talked about this movie. We had fears about these anacondas, like, because they could live in your backyard, which no, not really. But it had J-Lo, it had Ice Cube, it had Owen Wilson in it.
Yeah, this motherfucker's from Yonkers, acting like he's from like South Africa or some shit like that, or Africa.
I guess I probably should have been reading.
He seemed like he was from Brazil.
That's
what it sounded. I don't know where no, it was.
He's somewhere.
It's supposed to take place in the Amazon jungle. So traveling deep into the Amazon jungle looking for a forgotten tribe. And this whole thing is supposed to be set up like a documentary. So you have the whole rule of the cameraman doesn't die. I feel like this is where they first kind of started it. I'm pretty sure. He had a good run. But spoiler alert, the cameraman doesn't necessarily fucking make it. Well, actually, in this one he does.
No, yeah, because it was Ice Cube.
He does. It was Ice Cube.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the best fucking characters in this bad boy.
So that was that's also another thing. I think this the snake and the anaconda in this movie was supposed to be 30, 40 feet long.
Yeah.
Where like the longest anaconda ever caught on film or whatever is only 26 feet.
The motherfucker's probably as wide as.
So I mean,
him right now. That
so like
motherfucker's supposed to be big.
Even 26 is freaking huge for a fucking snake. Then you add add almost another 20 feet onto it. Like, so I mean, that's pretty freaking scary. So I think that's like one of the reasons that made this movie so scary. It's like you're not safe on land, you're not safe in the water,
and you can't see what's in the water. Is it once again a murky water situation where it's surprise attack all the time?
And if this movie was real, I don't want to get in Amazon water to begin with. There's freaking caiman in there. There's freaking insects that swim up your pee hole.
Yeah, not all of the kills in this movie go to the snakes. Some of them go to gigantic wasps hiding in your fucking swimsuit. Like,
screw the Amazon on that with those things. Like, but that's the thing. Like, Anaconda had a kinship almost with Lake Placid. I think Lake Placid had 2 sequels after the first one. Same with Anaconda, and then they did I haven't seen any of the sequels, but they also did Anaconda versus Lake Placid. Well.
Yeah, all right.
So they actually do have a connective tissue with the two movies. I mean, not only just because they came out like around the same time. I mean, like 2 years apart.
Water beasts.
But that was kind of it. You know, you had a giant alligator and you had a giant snake. Who's going to win? The Sharktopus, of course.
To me, the biggest surprise in this movie was the fact that Owen Wilson was in it and he didn't do the most talking. He was also not a typical character that Owen Wilson plays.
No, he was kind of like a douchebaggy.
He was a douchebag, and he definitely
Well, I mean,
was,
he always kind of plays a douchebag.
But he wasn't the comic relief douchebag in this
Yeah.
one. He was different overall. I like Owen Wilson a lot. I was surprised that he was a small character. He was like Drew Barrymore in Scream. Is Owen Wilson in Anaconda.
I don't want. I
Only
can't
I
agree
feel
with
like
you on
only
that
he
one.
got like less screen time, man.
Even Drew Barrymore, like I don't know. I think she just did a great part in like Scream, where Owen Wilson was kind of there to be a love interest of someone else that's gonna die.
Yeah, sure, but
You know, I mean,
what you expected to see more Drew Barrymore in that whole movie, especially with the fact that she was a big name and she got credit. In this one, he got credit, but he was in there less time than her. I thought that was.
everyone came for J-Lo and Ice Cube.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted that rap
True.
duo. You know, you just have to wait another 20 some odd years to get another Owen Wilson J-Lo movie. That's actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Nice little rom-com. But yeah, no, Anaconda is. Honestly, I don't understand why people hate it that much. I actually enjoy it a fair amount. It's not like my favorite movies by any mean, but I don't turn it off. There is action in it. There is scares in it. There's not any jump scares,
Yeah.
which is very easy.
I
for
felt
a
like
snake
it
movie.
didn't fuck with your emotions enough. I felt like Lake Placid did that. I mean, it didn't. By no means did Lake Placid like scare me. It had some jump scares, but it played with the comedic effects a little bit more. It had a character that you felt was actually. You watched every fucking scene waiting for the comedic relief. But in this one, that wasn't there. I feel like Ice Cube was probably the closest character to the comedic relief.
And that's the thing. Like
He was a smart ass, and I liked it.
I was more okay because everyone was even tempered in Anaconda compared to Lake Placid. You had fucking Bridget Fonda's character acting like a complete bitch throughout the whole. Like she had like the biggest freaking bipolar character in the whole thing, where she was
Bill
a complete
Pullman's supposed to be the
C-word,
chill one.
and like because she just broke up with her. This is Lake
She
Placid.
just got broken up with, yeah.
So she goes out to Maine.
Bill Pullman was the calm one.
But like she was angry. She was always cranky. She was just
Yeah.
vicious. She had teeth, you know. Then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I love you, Bill Pullman." And it's like,
Yeah.
to me it was just annoying. It's just I don't like the eccentric, unnecessarily eccentric that doesn't add anything to the story except for just getting in the way, which I felt like she did.
Oliver Platt, his character was like crazy, absolutely insane. So, yeah, there was. I mean, the most even-tempered character in that whole thing was Bill Pullman.
Yeah,
He was almost too calm at times. It felt like.
But they even made fun of it too, because I think near the end of the movie of Still Lake Placid, on where she was throwing, Bridget Fonda was throwing him like love signals and all that stuff, and he just walks away, hops in the truck, and she yells at him, "Is like, so what? Do people in Maine not know how to pick up on signs?"
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I guess. Was that the fucking wind?
Yeah, probably.
All right, yeah. So it's like, I guess that's one thing I had a lot in common with Bill Pullman's character on that end. It was like, oh, you're flirting with me. I didn't fucking realize. Oh, okay. I'll
Like,
just walk over
I'm not
here.
gonna remove the sleeping bag from here. I'm gonna move it over.
Yeah.
None of that royalty treatment.
Like, you're an equal. Yeah. So another movie that is, honestly, I think I kind of forgot. I shouldn't say forgotten about, because it's one of those ones that no one really talks about, or you never hear about, that honestly should get spoken about a lot more, is Razorback. That came out in 1984.
Razorback. All right.
Directed by Russell Mackay. Now I'm going to have it written up here on the screen, so it doesn't really matter. It does. But it's another one of those, like, it's an Ozploitation movie. It's also kind of like when I think of Razorback or Ozploitation, I always kind of think of Wake and Fright, which is also another great freaking Australian movie. So is Body Melt, which I think is in the 90s, and if you like body horror, that's the movie to watch. But we're here about nature.
Yep.
And this is a movie that you don't know what's actually happening, because movie starts off with this hunter is taking care of his family in this cabin out in the outback, of course, and a gigantic wild boar busts in through his cabin, and I think takes his grandson that's 2 years old away. So you have a wild boar stealing a kid. Gone, and the house burns down and all that stuff, and everyone in the town thinks that he killed his son or grandson, and he's just mad, he's just crazy because there's no such thing as this giant boar or this giant razorback
baby stealing boar.
Yes, like, so they just thought that this old man just went
dingo,
crazy,
it was a
and
razorback.
exactly. So then it goes into this. I want to say she was not a news anchor, but someone that did like the news and all that shit, a news reporter, and she goes off to Australia to pick up the news and try to figure out why this giant boar that doesn't exists and all this stuff. So it's like, all right, so that grandpa is just a character, just kind of help get the story moving, whatever. We're not following his character anymore that you thought you were going to be following.
Right.
And then you start following her, and then she dies and stuff, and it's like, all right, who the fuck's the main goddamn character in this goddamn movie? Like, so 30 minutes in, you still don't know who you're supposed to be following. You don't know where the story's going, but it all makes sense. Like, there is still stuff that's still moving forward.
Yeah.
This boar has an evil intention. I shouldn't say boar because it's a razorback. They always consider it a razorback, I guess, when it gets to this size or the type of boar
the
it
reason
was.
why boar definitely underlines the level of aggression that this gigantic fucking pig has.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, boar's not a far-fetched.
So, I mean, you have that. It's like, all right. So, after that woman fucking dies, her husband or boyfriend, I can't remember at the time. I think it was actually her boyfriend that they were about to get. Just got engaged or some shit. Goes to Australia to find out what happened to my wife, and then we start following him, and then you follow the grandpa, and they kind of make a whole. Like, the movie is a mess, but it makes so much sense when you watch a movie, and it's actually a really solid freaking movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it shows off why Shredder turned Bebop into a giant razorback pig with a gun.
Honestly, yeah. Like, I know I didn't saw the movie, but here's a synopsis of the movie as well, that if you just look up on Google. A big Australian pig attacks an old man, grabs a baby, and kills a newswoman. Her husband investigates.
Sold.
Yeah. So I honestly did more, but that's honestly it. Like, it is a really crazy movie. You have these two antagonists that are just backwoods freaking crazy. Like, they're almost like if Wrong Turn made a pit stop here, because there was, like, I think a dad and his son, just fucking wacko, where they're actually gonna rape the woman at the time.
Jesus.
Yes, but the boar comes and saves the day and scares them off, just so the boar could have, or the razorback could have his way with the woman.
What kind of alliance is that pig carrying?
Dude, like, none at all.
Like chaotic evil.
Like, honestly, I think the only reason this movie isn't as big as it is because I never see it streaming anywhere. I feel like if this movie was streaming or more people talked about it, this movie would be huge. It is a really fun movie. It is actually really freaking great. Like, I'm looking at it, and it's like an hour 47 minutes, and it does not feel like a 2-hour movie. Like, it does and it doesn't, but compared to Wake and Fright, which is another fucking great movie if you haven't seen it. Like, with Wake and Fright, it has Donald Pleasance in it and stuff, which he's like the main reason why this movie is as big as it is. But that's another Aussie movies are fucking weird. I know I'm not selling them because I mean,
you don't
they're
need to
that
sell
fucking
them.
weird.
Oh, no, really, every Aussie horror movie I've ever watched, I've thoroughly enjoyed. Wolf Creek, absolute banger. Terrifying because of how realistic it possibly is. And if you look into the history of that one, it's a little fucking creepy. There was this, I can't remember the fucking name of it, but it was a zombie apocalypse movie that was absolutely beautiful. Oh, Wormwood. Yes. That was another amazing movie. With what made it great to me is I didn't know a lot of the actors in it, so it felt fresh, and you couldn't sit there and go, oh, that character's clearly going to make it the longest because they have the most pull in this creation of movie. No, everybody was on the fucking chopping block, and they kept a good amount of scary and comedic relief.
That
throughout
can also
the
make a
whole
movie
thing.
a lot better too if you don't know the actors.
Yes.
You don't know who's going to survive. You see a big name on it.
Yeah,
going back with
you're
Drew
gonna
Barrymore,
know.
Jamie Lee Curtis. You know,
That's what I liked about Scream
like-
was they killed off Drew Barrymore. Like, the big actor died.
Yeah, like,
surprise, bitch.
like you expect them to live, or nowadays you expect them to die, but
Yeah.
you know their names, unknown names, and especially like with like Aussie movies, I don't know a lot of their famous people there.
Mel Gibson.
Is he Aussie?
He's Australian. Yeah. This is Mad Max, bro.
Oh,
That was
I haven't
like-
seen Mad Max.
What the fuck? Mad Max. Another great one.
Furiosa. Fucking now they're doing Harry Potter fucking movies.
Yeah.
And throwing wizard spells at freaking Chris Hemsworth. Like fucking
They don't know when to stop, man.
I don't.
It's all right though. But Mad Max was a good one, and it took him a while to shake his accent too. You can actually hear it when he's doing Lethal Weapon. Every now and then it slips.
Well, I guess
in the
of course,
first Lethal
Chris
Weapon.
Hemsworth, I think, is Aussie as well.
Okay.
Like the Hemsworths. Freaking. Why am I going into this?
between their description in synopsis and the what you're supposed to see overall in that movie, sold.
Yeah,
Absolutely sold.
I wish I could sell this movie more. I really do wish. It is. All I could say is if it's streaming somewhere and you don't want to spend the $20 to $30 for this movie, right there that should tell you that it's a good movie. It's still $20 to $30 because it's a little bit harder to come across, but it is that good. It is really enjoyable.
Yeah,
It's not.
No, you're right.
I guess I probably shouldn't say though. It's not like a high rewatchability rate. I mean, just as much as. Again, I'm gonna bring up like Body Melt or Wake and Fright because I feel like that or even
Reanimator's still going for like $30 or $40.
Yeah.
And I mean that definitely's got a rewatch value to it. So
at the same time, though, I would rather. Ooh.
well, we hit a wall here.
No, I was gonna say like I'd probably still rewatch Reanimator a whole lot more than Razorback, but I think I might.
There's a different quality in filming overall. I feel like it's hard to fucking argue that one. They
Because
both
they're
have
completely
their
different
heights for
movies.
different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Razorback I think might be one of my annual movies I'll throw on just once a year, just kind of. It's just kind of like that kind of movie.
Yeah, this whole thing could almost be like summed up in summertime horrors because
Yeah.
check under the rocks, look in the waters, keep an eye open.
That's the thing. Like,
all this shit.
it's summertime. Or like when it becomes summertime, you're gonna go out more. You're gonna go out, lakes, creeks, oceans,
Taking
mountains,
summer
cabins.
breaks to places you've never been, experiencing exotic waters with creatures you don't want swimming near you.
Yeah, and if it's the animals that won't get you, it's gonna be fucking Bridget.
The fucking Bridget.
God damn it. All right, well, hope you guys have a horror problem because I fucking am.
I sure do. Yeah.
All right, peace out.
Take it easy.